Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is my turn to talk. Hello, Shy Lady. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to get started today. Today is Tuesday, August the 24th, and once again, I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is my turn to talk. All right, so today's episode is really what makes you shake your head? And I want to discuss on what makes you shake your head when people behave or did certain things or do certain things. Today's climate provides a lot of opportunity for head scratching and head shaking. Now, I came up with this topic. Once again, my topic changed a little bit because of what do I want to say? Because of a comment that was made um, yesterday. A comment that was made yesterday in my chat. And, this person made a comment about um, Black children don't get um, kidnapped in the ghetto. And when I asked why, they said because they were armed. Now, I don't know, if that was meant to be funny or what, but as an African American, I take exception to that. And it kind of took me aback. And I'm going to admit, I was insulted. Now, people may say, you're thin skinned. And I have been told by white people, one person in particular, that I am thin skinned. I don't think I am. You know, um, I guess this show will also kind of also evolve into stereotypes. But right now, I just want to talk about things that that you go, really? Did they really say that? I mean, remember back in the day when Arsenio Hall, if anybody remembers Arsenio Hall, he had a segment in his show where he said, things that make you go, and you know, literally we would say, did he just say that or am I missing something? And I find myself saying a lot to myself, am I missing something? Did I miss that? um you know is it me? I tend to say that a lot to myself. Is it me? And there are times when I will literally just sit back and I have to think about what someone just said to me or something that I heard, because I'm literally going, is it me? You know, am I the only one who doesn't get what they're just saying? Or am I the only one who got what they're just saying? Or is it going over, if what I'm saying, is it going over my head? I mean, what is it? But I find that I'm saying really a lot over stereotypes. And again, we are living in a time and in a climate where racism uh, is at the forefront. It's at the forefront of everything. And people um, make ignorant statements, make ignorant remarks. Some of them maybe made because, they really don't know any better. or some of them may be made because they think it's funny. And some people actually believe it. And I just find myself just, shaking my head because on one hand, I think it's sad. But on the other hand, I'm like, come on, you should know better. And I just find myself just when people say things, I'm saying, really? So, um, Shy Lady, I'm going to ask you, do you have anything you would like to contribute before we keep going?
I do. Um, I was on the show yesterday, and I'm not sure where this person's reference came to. What made you say what you said about black children being in the ghetto, thinking that they were armed, and I don't even know where that came from. It's like, and even if it was a joke, it wasn't a good joke. It was in very poor taste. And to me, you sound like you were an intelligent person. I don't know how an intelligent person could even say something like that about, you don't think that black children get abducted because they are probably, black children get abducted in the ghetto because they're probably armed. Like I said, I don't even know where it came from. It was just ludicrous, and I don't mean to go on a tangent, but it just I just thought about how some people think that they can say, certain groups think that they can say anything, particularly about the black community, and think it's funny or it's okay. I'll give you an example. I was watching a television show on Netflix, and I'll say the name of the show. It was called The Upshaws. I'm not sure if you've ever watched it. Have you heard of
I've
it?
heard of it, but I've never watched it.
Well, I only watched it because one day I was over at my daughter's house, and it was kind of like a comedy relief. It was a couple of things that I laughed at, so I'm going to have to check it out. Well, over the weekend, I decided to watch it at my own home. And one of the, so it's a black family. The show is about a black family. Kim Fields and Mike Epps are the parents. And it's a situation where he has a baby mama, as they call it, and they're married. They've been together for 30 years, but he has a child that's like the same age as a daughter that they have together, but they also have a son that's 30 years old. So I'm listening to a lot of this bantering with the baby mama stuff going back and forth. And there was, and also I looked up the writers. They show who the writers were, who wrote that particular episode. They've also actually wrote several episodes of the show, and the writers are white. There was a comedic line in the show about George Floyd and Emmett Till, and I took offense at it, and I vowed that I would not watch that show again
Well,
because go ahead.
now I was going to say, I don't mean to interrupt you, but my question is, knowing Kim Phil's background and even Mike Epps, why would they even say those lines? Why would they even allow that to even be in the show? So that would be my question.
You're right. I didn't even think about that, but it was a reference. The wife had gotten into it about him doing something for the baby mama in terms of money behind her back. He bought the baby mama a car and took the money from her bank account that she was saving up to go to grad school for her
Oh,
GMAT, and he took the money and bought a car for his baby mama behind her back, and it was money that she had saved. And Wanda Sykes is also a producer of the show, and it was a line in the show where the character Mike Epps, I can't even think of his character's name, but he made a reference and said something about, oh, that something about that took me back to George Floyd, and then he said right after that about, I haven't been there since Emmett Till, and I'm like, what is this? What jokes are? I mean, this is not even right. This is awful because the writer, and I'm sure this person has a Jewish last name, one of the writers. And I said to myself as I was watching this show, I'm sure that this particular writer would have thought it was in very bad taste to make a joke referencing Anne Frank's name in a sitcom. Very,
Well,
very
again,
poor
well,
taste.
okay, but again, I go back to if you look at Wanda Sykes, if she is a producer and you have Kim Fields and Mike Epps and you know what their backgrounds are, why would they even allow, those lines in a show? I mean, not, why would they just not stand up and say, I'm not going to say those lines?
I
You know,
agree with you. Those should not even been written. I was flabbergasted. I was like, really? That when you talk about your topic, that's what I said. Really? I said that. Really? I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
but when you have, really comments, when people are saying really about things, usually it's okay. Again, you're talking about a TV show and the way things are written, and usually the people who are writing those shows, or even if you're not a writer, if you're saying certain things, usually people who do that say it, number one, out of ignorance, number two, because they think it's funny, and number three, because it doesn't happen to them. And I have found, just in as I've gotten older, that people will say things and even do things because it doesn't happen to them. And like I said, more and more, I am literally saying to myself, really, did they really say that? And I've had discussions with people where they'll say, like I told you, one particular person, he'll always say to me, why are you so thin skinned? And I'm like, well, does this ever happen to you? Has anyone ever said this to you, or said something like this about you or whatever? And they're like, well, no, it doesn't happen to you. So, maybe that's why you don't care, or you're not in tune to it. But when something happens to you, or when you see something happening, and it doesn't affect you, your reactions are going to be different. But more and more, like I said, I find myself just shaking my head and I'm like, what? What the hell did you just say? And I've also gotten, as I've gotten older, and well, actually, I'm not going to say since I've gotten older, because I've pretty much always been like this. I call people out. If people say something that is just downright stupid or ignorant, and I will call them out. And especially if they want to say something like, well, you know what I mean. No, I don't. Why don't you tell me what you mean? And then they tend to stumble. They tend to stumble over their words. Well, um, 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 you said it. Don't assume that I know what you're talking about. What did you mean? Why did you say that? I've heard people, say things to other people that have just been downright just, you know, disgusting or mean. And I am one of those people who will, fight for the underdog, and I'll put my 2 cents in when I probably shouldn't, but I do. Let me welcome 100 Yard Old Chemist, Tuttles, and Jill. Thank you for coming. But more and more, I find myself just again, shaking my head, scratching my head, because I don't understand why people have said, certain things that are just downright hurtful or just downright ignorant. So, does anybody want to comment on anything I've just said? If they want to disagree with me or anything, feel free. But I will say, I don't think that I am in fact, I know I'm not. I know I'm not a thin skinned person. I am someone who, I will say things that other people, don't want to say. Um, I will defend something to the end if I think, that I'm right. And if I'm wrong and you call me out, okay, I will admit that. I've been called out a lot, but when people say things that just aren't cool, or you're trying to make a joke, or even if you're trying to make a point, um, sometimes you got to think about what you're saying, and think about you know, the people that are around you, because everything's not funny. Or again, things may happen to some people that don't happen to other people. Some things, may happen to one group of people that doesn't happen to another group of people. One family may be going through something that another family isn't, and, you know, um, like Arsenio Hall used to say, things that make you go, hmm. So I'm going to ask, does anyone have any uh, scenarios or instances where you're kind of scratching your head, and you had to step back and say, did that person really say that? So if anyone wants to share any of that, I would love to know. I would love to hear. And I'm not going to put anybody on the spot. So let's see. Shailene, not at this time. You already got yours out. Okay. All right. So, um, society today has made everyone, I don't know if people are more aware today than they were, say, 10 years ago, just because of the climate of where we are. But it seems like today, like I said before, that we are getting more comments or more instances where you're kind of, you know, doing a double head turn and go, what? You know, what did that person just say? Or, and when people say things, I want to know, why did you say that? You know, what did you mean? Because things get lost in translation, and everyone may not know what you mean. Um, and for Shy Lady, going back to what you just said, gave me that instance of the TV show. Um, if there were words written in a script that um I didn't agree with, and I was the actor, knowing how I am, I wouldn't say it. Now, if I'm an actor where I just got, you know, this particular part, welcome OJ 28, welcome. If I'm an actor that I just got this part, and if I don't say the lines, then I'm going to be fired. I think I would just take the hit, but I'm not going to say something that is socially incorrect, politically incorrect, or just downright right wrong. And I think as a writer, you should be conscious of what you're writing. I mean, everything doesn't need to be turned into a joke. Everything is not funny. Okay, and Doss, you're saying people are not more aware today because media and social media has been dictating what is acceptable to say, and if you don't agree, then you are vilified. That's true. You know, see, 100 Yard Old Chemist. That's the effect of social media. When you have one person to stand up and say what others think, others tend to follow behind. Okay, let me read that again. That's the effect of social media. When you have one person to stand up and say what others think, and say what others think, others tend to follow behind. I agree. I agree probably 50-50 with what you just said, 100 Yard Old Chemist. Can you give me an example when you say others tend to follow behind? Can you give me an example of somebody that may be in the media? Okay, Trump supporters. All right. Okay. Okay. Now, let me ask you, why do you think that is? I'm just giving him time to answer, or her time to answer. They feel he speaks for them. Okay. Okay. Well, I will say this. Um when the former guy, that's what I refer to him as, came down the escalator in 2015, um, you know, and said and announced his run for the presidency. What shocked me, and I will say that, um, and it did shock me, was, when he said that, people from Mexico were, rapists and bad hombres, and, and they were murderers and what have you. And the amount of people that backed him. And right then and there, I said, we're, I'm saying to myself, we're in for, this is going to be a doozy of an election, because now, you have, I guess, what 100 Yardo Kim has said, that, you have someone who said something that no one possibly, or a politician, didn't want to say. Not saying that he was, and a politician, that is. And, people agreed with it. Finally, somebody is saying something that I believe in, so they got onto that bandwagon. That, is probably what happened. Um, but at some point, you have to sit back, and you have to really look at what people are saying. You know, um, the former guy, he has said, on several occasions, that if you repeat something enough, even if it's a lie, if you keep repeating it enough, people will believe it. If they follow you, they will believe it. And that's what Hitler did. And he said the same thing. If you repeat something enough, people will begin to believe it. But my thing is, when do you as a person step back, and you're having that really moment, like, really, did he just say that, or really, did she just say that? And you have to look back and just say to yourself, well, no, that's not true, or no, that's not right. And I'm not just talking about politics. I'm talking about everything. You know, um, we're living in a time where we can no longer afford to just, and I'm going to use this word, blindly, to just blindly follow a group of people or a person, um, you know, because they said so. Um, you know, I'm African American. I am a liberal. I have voted Republican before. I've voted Republican several times. Um, I don't like it when people say things like, well, I'm not voting for the person, I'm voting for the party. No, if you're voting for, are filling out that ballot and there's a name there, and this is my opinion, you're voting for that. You're putting that X or that check, or you're filling in that blank for that name. When people are on the ballot, it doesn't say the Democratic Party check. It has a person's name there. So there have been times where there have been Democrats who have been on the ballot, and I'm like, I, you know, don't want to vote for them, but I am going to vote. I have written in people before. I've written in people before because I didn't like the people who were on the ballot, because they were saying things that were making me go, really? Did you just say that? Hell no, I'm not going to support you. But unfortunately, in America, we have a two-party system. And I know this is like getting off topic, probably. I'm sorry. We have a two-party system where it's very hard for a third party to come in, or a fourth party to come in, unlike, over in other countries like the UK, and in other countries where you have more than two parties. The United States is pretty much a two-party system. And I feel that even when you write someone in or you're voting third party, it's a wasted vote, because it's either going to be a Democrat or it's going to be a Republican. But I don't believe that um, I disagree when people say I'm not voting for the person, I'm voting for the party. No, because that person can change the party. And we've seen that happen. We've seen that happen. We've seen it happen. So, if you're voting for someone who makes you shake your head because of something that they said, and they say it over and over and over, and you disagree, but they're in your party, then why would you vote for them? Okay, OJ, let's see. You're saying in India there are numerous political parties, both national as well as regional. You're right. There are. There are. And again, in the United States, I mean, I don't think that we'll ever get to three parties. I don't think it will ever happen. Um, so I don't know, but again, um, going back to get back on topic a little bit, when people say or behave in a way that are making you shake your head, you know, I say call them out if you can. I mean, if it's someone you're watching on TV or something, you can't do it. But um, when people make comments, and I'm going to go back to yesterday, about stereotypes. You know, um, Stereotypes are out there, and I have learned that a vast majority of them are wrong. They are. You know, um, Growing up, I grew up in a middle class neighborhood, black, and in in Chicago. I live on the West Coast now, and it was one of the best middle class neighborhoods, not only in Chicago but in the country. It was one of the best. And when I go home now, we have white people who are starting to move in, and they've always wanted to move in, but you have people like my mom, she's still in the same house that she and my dad bought, for over 60 years. They bought the house back in 1959. Now you have people like my parents, that generation, they're dying, and the kids are selling the homes. So now other people are able to move in, but for the most part, a lot of the kids are still keeping those homes because it's a good neighborhood. And I have, people have stereotyped me and assumed that I grew up in a certain place or whatever because I'm black. People make assumptions about me because I'm from Chicago. Well, the Chicago, that it is now was not the Chicago that I grew up in. But don't stereotype me. And they've made comments that have made me go, really? What? So I don't know. I'm getting off topic here, whatever. But I hope you guys know what my point is and what I'm trying to say. Does anyone want to make any comments or say anything? Feel free. Want to call in? I invite you to. Okay, I'm not a dim 100-year-old chemist. I'm not a dim or Republican, but I pay attention to the minuscule news more so than the headlines and connect the dots between the two. Despite Trump's lack of tact and articulation, he did make a few genius decisions like the Space Force. Okay. Okay. And let me, okay. 100-year-old chemist, hold on. You want to come in? So let me, all right. You can start talking whenever you are ready.
Okay, so I feel like I have to explain that because a lot of people don't understand why the Space Force was a good move. So I think it was in the 80s. This guy made a decision. He lost his job, so he made a decision to sell plots on different planets, and he owns those planets. So now we have a space race going on between different countries. And at some point, when everyone gets their spaceships or whatever to go to these planets, those planets, that guy's going to need protection. In the Space Force, the guy's from like Minnesota or somewhere, but the Space Force has partnered with this guy and they're going to be his protection. You can look it up. It sounds perfect, but
I'm
you can
I'm
look
I'm,
it up.
I'm actually I'm actually looking it up now as you are talking. But okay, I have to ask this. Thank you, Tuttles, for liking the show, and OJ, thank you for liking the show. Okay, so I have to ask this. Um, you're saying that this guy from Minnesota or wherever
Wherever he's from, I don't really know where he's from, but I was reading an
that
article about it.
he purchased plots, and when you say purchased plots, it
He
almost sounds
sells
like he
plots.
purchased
He
cemeteries.
owns he sells acres of land on, I think, the moon and other planets.
Okay, now what makes me have to shake my head and go really about this one is, first of all, who gave you the right to just all of a sudden I'm just going to own the moon and start selling, plots or space or land or whatever you want to call it, craters or whatever. I
No,
mean,
there was
you know,
agreement. There was agreement between countries that no countries could own outer worldly bodies.
okay,
So he
so
decided
again, so who gave you the right to do that? And if I want to go to the moon tomorrow and set up shop and build a house or whatever, who's to say that I have to go through him because I may be on the spot or whatever? I mean, it just
because
doesn't
he's the
make any
owner.
sense. But he,
He's the owner. He came up
but
with the idea.
but just be okay. But again, you're talking about something that's something that's outer space. So you're going to say that I mean, I'm sorry. I'm just having a hard time.
Yes, I understand what you're saying, but he came up with when he came up with the idea, it was just something novel. It was just novelty things that he sold because nobody could ever fathom that anybody would ever go to outer space.
Okay, so you said that he owns it. So who did he pay for it?
I don't
I'm
remember exactly. I don't remember exactly, but he owns it.
that is just so I mean, that is just so crazy. And I'm sorry, I have to say, when you say a genius did decision, I'm sorry. I can't get behind that because just, I
Somebody, I'm just saying, as far as like having somebody to protect his interests, he's essentially, with him owning planets, that essentially makes him the richest man in the world.
okay, but again, okay, and guys, I don't know if other people who are listening, you all are like laughing or whatever you're doing, but I'm just again, I'm just trying to wrap my head around saying that you own something. So can I say that I own Saturn? Because whatever. I mean, who am I to say that I own a planet? I mean, uh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just lost here.
I understand.
So
I understand. But I mean, nobody else thought about it.
Okay, OJ 28%. That's ridiculous. I
It
mean, it
is.
is. Okay, so now you have to say because no one else thought of it.
No one
So,
else thought about when cryptocurrency came out. Everybody was like, "That's stupid. It's ridiculous." Now it's a big thing.
but cryptocurrency is something where, is something that, could replace money here on Earth. I mean, Earth is the only planet that you're able to live on where things can actually grow, naturally, because it's not so close to the sun, it's not too far away, like Uranus or something where it's, super cold and
I
things
mean,
cannot grow, whatever. But cryptocurrency is something that that is tangible. And I mean, just like when cable came out, people thought that, that was kind of weird, whatever. But look, now we have HBO and all these other, things, whatever.
right?
But when you say a planet,
Yep.
it just I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So, bless his heart, whatever. If he, whatever, maybe he'll move his family up there. I have no idea, but I'm not interested, and I can't see too many other people who would be interested, leaving planet Earth, um, um, and living somewhere where you can't even breathe without
You
a
can't see that.
spacesuit on.
You can't see that, but there were over, I think, 300,000 people that wanted to go on SpaceX. That signed up to go on
Yeah,
SpaceX.
yeah. I mean, but okay, but people who sign up to go on SpaceX, I understand that some people want to do it, and possibly they'll be gone for 2 or 3 years, whatever. I totally get that. Or even I want to go to the moon. I would love to go to the moon. I would love to be an astronaut and go to the moon. I would think it would be really cool. But you know what? I also want to come back to Earth. I also want to come back home. I
Yeah,
don't
but the contention
want
with
to live
SpaceX,
there.
the contention with SpaceX was you weren't coming back. You were going to populate, and
Well,
still people wanted to go.
Well, I don't know. And I'm going to say this, and I don't know if I'm going to offend some people who are listening right now. Then if you're going to go to SpaceX, maybe the QAnon people can go. I don't know. But, but for me, I like planet Earth. I would like, to do more to help planet Earth, whatever, to clean up planet Earth. But I think planet Earth is pretty cool. So I will keep my feet right here. Thank you
Right,
very much.
right. If you think about it on in future terms, though, it's a good idea because we're moving that way.
But they've been talking about, people living on other planets for years. And when I say years, I'm, for decades.
Yeah,
They've
but
been talking about.
there's an active space race going on right now.
Well, again, whatever country, be it Russia or the United States, the UK, China, Japan, whoever wants to do a space race and see who can, get to whatever planet first and live on it and procreate, whatever. Again, knock yourselves out. I will stay right here on planet Earth. But I will say you have definitely given me a really today because I'm going to be thinking about this. Um, and I'll probably be in my car thinking about this and I will probably start laughing. But again, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. So I see OOJ 28 is like laughing. Does anyone have anything that 100 Yardo Kim has said? Do they want to contribute to the conversation to that portion of it or anything else? I'm sorry. See, you have me laughing. You have me laughing here. But yeah, but again, once again, 100 Yardo Kim says that we're headed in this direction. And again, things in society, whatever, makes you just kind of shake your head and wonder what the hell is going on. Did you want to say something else?
No, like I completely agree. I completely agree of how ridiculous it sounds, but every country wants to move toward the future. So there are a lot of things going on Earth, and you see, you have Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and all these people that are going back and forth to space. A lot of people want to go.
I mean, yeah, I would love to go to space. I mean, just to, go for, see what it's like, whatever. I think would be pretty cool. But like I said, I want to come back to Earth, but I also look at some of these billionaires who are going to space, and when I first heard, about Elon Musk going, and Jeff Bezos, one of the first things that I thought of literally was there are so many things going on Earth that you could put your power behind or your money into, and just for a joyride. Yeah, I can go for a joyride. That you have so many other things that you can put your money into, and you're going to space. I mean, there are people here. We're coming off of a pandemic. There are people here who can't eat, who can't pay their mortgage. Can't pay their utilities. Why don't you contribute to that instead of going to space? That's just me.
We don't
You know,
matter.
you know, you
We
know.
don't matter. The middle class
Well,
and the poor don't really matter. It's the
well,
preservation of the wealthy that matters to them.
Well, and I think that's sad because it's the regular folk, as I like to say, the regular folk who keep this country going.
Right. We just get their ventures.
And I think that the again, getting off topic here, but I think that's one thing that the pandemic has shown us, that the people who would not get recognized before, you're starting to realize that yes, we need those people who work in the grocery stores. We need those people who may do what we may call mundane things. They're the
Right.
ones that keep everything going. They're the ones that keep food on our table, and what have you. So, but again, if you're going to spend, $1 billion to go to space, could you have at least drop, maybe, 10 million, uh, in a food pantry, or, get some food, or,
Nah,
pay somebody's rent, or something, like that, pay someone's mortgage, or, help someone out, you
it's not
know?
their concern. It's not their concern.
Well, I found myself saying really to hospitals who cannot have regular surgeries because of, the influx of COVID patients.
Hmm.
I think that's wrong. I think it's wrong that, that literally they're saying that in some states that, like Texas, they're flying people to different states, you know, if, and I'm talking about just COVID patients, they're flying people to different states because they have no more room.
Right.
And people are saying that if you get into a car accident or something, you're kind of screwed because the COVID patients have taken up all of the space.
Right.
And it's not like it was last year when, there was no vaccine. And I'm getting off the subject again, and I'm going to probably say something that people are not going to like, where, people were getting sick, and, there was no vaccine, whatever. But now we have something that can crush this thing. But because, they say the majority, 99% of the people who are in the hospital who have COVID are unvaccinated. And I don't feel sorry for them. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And again, people may not like me for saying this, but I don't. You know, we, in my opinion, are going to be living with COVID forever. It's not going to go away. They're already talking about it's mutating into an alpha or whatever it is that's out now, whatever that's, come out of Peru, whatever. But, you know, we have the ability to crush it. I'm just not talking about here in the United States. I'm saying across the globe, we have the ability to crush it. But everyone doesn't want to get on the bandwagon. Everybody's concerned about, well, my First Amendment rights, what have you. Hell, I can talk about my First Amendment rights back in 400 years ago. I still don't have my First Amendment rights now. But when people were told not to smoke, alpha, alpha, right? OJ is alpha. That is out. And when people were told they can't smoke in buildings, or we had to wear seatbelts, whatever. It wasn't this pushback. It wasn't this pushback. And again, it became a political thing. How is a pandemic political? Tell me. I mean, was wearing a seatbelt, was that political? Was saying you can't smoke in a building, was that political? I mean, it's just crazy. So while you're running around space and spending all this money, try to do something here at home. Try to convince people here at home to do the right thing, so we can have an earth that we can actually live on. The earth that God gave us for us to live on, that we are totally destroying.
That's
One
why
day
people.
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
That's the exact reason why the rich want to move.
Well, okay, so okay, fine. But just because you're rich doesn't mean that you're not going to have any problems. But
Right.
you look at what's going on. You look at what some of the rich people have done, the ones that own some of these factories and buildings, and you're polluting. You're polluting the oceans, whatever. It's like a fish, or a turtle or whatever. They can't even swim anymore without getting some plastic, stuck in their throat or something. It's disgusting.
Right.
I see it all the time when I'm coming out of the supermarket, and I'm just going from the door of the supermarket to my car. I see a mask that's just thrown onto the ground. You couldn't put that in the garbage can and throw it away at the garbage can that was by the door, or I see people throwing trash out the window while they're driving or whatever. It's like this is the world that we created.
Right.
So maybe the next time when God says, okay, you all know what? Revelations is here. I'm getting rid of everything. Everyone's gone. All of you are gone. Then when he starts over, maybe animals should be at the top and humans should be at the bottom. Because, animals to me are more intelligent than humans. Just remember that line in Aliens where Sigourney Weaver said about the aliens, you don't find them fucking each other over for a goddamn percentage.
Right.
And that's what we're doing, and constantly I'm going back to the shaking your head thing. I just see people doing things and I'm just like, really? Really? Again, going back to the supermarket, I'm at the store about 2 days ago, and this woman is in California. We have to buy bags. They'll say, do you want a bag? And bags are 10 cents, or you have to take in your own bags, whatever. So she's coming out of the store, and I'm right behind her, and we have parked. We're parked right next to each other, but there's a space in between us, whatever. And she didn't want a bag, whatever. That's fine. And she's putting her stuff in her car, and the cart return is like literally next to her car. Now she's putting her stuff in the car, and the cart return is literally right next to her car. She just leaves it in that empty space, gets into her car, and drives away. And I'm looking at her like, really? Those are the things that it just boggles my mind. And meanwhile, this cart guy, he's hustling, and it's hot outside, and he's hustling, to get these carts, whatever. And he comes over and he sees the cart, and he says, I know it wasn't you. He says, I know it wasn't you. I saw the lady do it. whatever. And it's like, I don't get it. Can we just help each other out? Can we put something as simple as a cart back in the cart return? I mean, yes, I'm going off on a tangent, but I'm just saying that, it's all part of the problem. It's all part of the problem. And OJ, you're saying it's disgusting. I mean, it is. It is. You know, yeah, that is a really, it is. You know, um, I don't even go to the beach anymore. I don't care what beach it is, in what neighborhood, whatever. In California, the beaches are gross. They are gross, and they're always getting, closed because the pollution level is this, the pollution level is that. Then they have to get people out there, and they're cleaning up or they're dragging it to get crap that's out of the water and what have you. And it's sad. It's just really sad. And then you wonder why when you eat fish, you have to be concerned about that because you know what have they eaten? What have they digested? That now you're going to have, and the next thing you know, everybody has cancer. I mean, seriously. I mean, these are all things to me that are just like really moments. Like, what the fuck? Can we just? I don't know. I don't know. I have been going on and on and on. Does anyone have anything that they want to say? Anybody? Anybody? Okay. So, I I just, just just ask people if you can just take a step back sometimes. And I find myself having to do it because again, I'm someone who, you know, I find myself calling people out when they say things that to me, that they shouldn't say. Um and I find myself calling people out, and because I need people to explain to me why you said something that either was an ignorant statement or was a racist statement or was something that wasn't untrue, or just a comment you made that you're like, well, I don't understand. You know,
Oh,
um, I'm sorry, Shy Lady. What did you want to say?
no, I'm sorry. I wanted to, since we're talking about the, really what made you say really, I'm still in disbelief, and I know it's like beating a dead horse. It's been talked about, for the last several years with the former guy. When I heard his comment about, well, not only the ombre comment, but about grabbing women by the pussy, I was like, really? And the fact that this man had a large number of votes by women, I was like, really? You've got to be kidding me. This man got this many votes by women. Every woman in the world, well, I won't say world because they couldn't vote outside of the United States, but every woman in the United States who was of voting age should have been appalled at that comment made by that man. But I didn't hear anyone in the news saying how awful that was and how this isn't right. But when a person says, make a comment about a person's ethnicity, they are immediately, tarred and feathered, so to speak, in the media. And commentators have been fired from their jobs for comments made about. I remember back there was a sports reporter, Jimmy the Greek. He's late, passed on now, but he used to be a commentator for basketball, and I remember he made a comment, and I thought that Jimmy the Greek was one of the best sports journalists I have ever heard. He seemed to be genuinely um, sports minded. He gave credit to athletes, whether they were black or white or whatever. he seemed to really enjoy watching sports and giving credit to athletes who were naturally talented. And I don't know if some people may be familiar with him or not, but he made a comment back in the 80s, I believe it was the 80s, that Black people were athletically gifted. It was a comment like that, that they were just athletically gifted, because he was amazed at some of the things that people like Julius Erving did on the court. And a lot of people took offense to that. And he was fired because he made a reference to it was a little bit more than it was. I think he may have compared it to like an animal or something, the speed and the athleticism. But I don't think he meant anything racist by the comment that he made. I can't exactly remember. You can look it up, but I don't really think he was being racist. I think he was actually giving a comment. But I say all that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and I'll let you, keep going. But I was just going to say, for Jimmy Greek, I remember when he made that comment, and to me, this is where I say where ignorance comes in. I don't mean ignorance where you're stupid. I mean ignorance where either you should know better, or you don't know better. And I think with he made that statement, it was more of an ignorance thing, because you do have some people who think that one reason why some Black athletes, especially basketball players, that they're so good because of their bone structure, or their legs, or whatever. I mean, you know, I think it was, when I look at that, I think it was more of an ignorance thing more than anything else.
Exactly. That's what I believe as well. But I've just thought about the former president, because um, that comment was kind of like looked over. No one seemed to be really offended by it. I didn't hear any of the reporters on TV really, you know, just lashing out at him for saying that. I don't recall that.
Well, what was interesting about that whole statement, and I say this because I had a conversation with a friend of mine who was and is a former guy supporter, and um, you know when we were talking about that, she said, "Well, what about Bill Clinton?" And I looked at her. I said, "Really? You're going to go back 25 years? Really? That's how far you have to reach?" You know, yeah, Bill Clinton should not have done what he did to, or with, not to, but with Monica Lewinsky, whatever. But people were all over that. But, you know, now you have someone, like you said, and I'm going to say it because this is what he said, grabbing somebody by the pussy. That is what he said, you know. And like you said, it seemed like you're more interested in someone's emails than anything else. So I don't know. And that's where I say, don't say you're voting for the party, because you aren't. This is what this person said, and he went on to say even more disgusting things. And this is a man who is still calling for the execution of the Central Park Five, even though they spent years in prison, and they were proven innocent through DNA, through all other kinds of things, that they did not do it, and he's still calling for their execution. That's a dangerous person to me.
And there's another, that's a really moment,
It is.
really
It
you
is.
want you
So,
want these guys executed. And I understand that he's trying to uh, do another run. That's what I've heard.
well, for that, this is 21. I'm not going to really think about that until 23, because a lot can happen between 21 and 23. And I say karma is a bitch. I truly believe that. And I think with everything that's going on in New York with investigations and everything, I'm just going to say, I'm just going to sit back and just say, wait and see, but I don't know. I mean, again, like I said, there's just so many really moments out there that when you look at what people are spending their money on and spending, their time on frivolous things, on space races and all these other things, that there's just so many other things that are going on right here on planet Earth that need to be addressed. So again, whether you're liberal, conservative, QAnon, whatever, you know, um, Earth is not just America, but globally, we're in a crisis. We are in a crisis. And whether, you want to expel people from a country, or, you're taking over a country, um, you know, um, we are in a crisis. The entire world is in a crisis. So whether you're rich or not, I don't care. You breathe the same air that we breathe, you know. Um, and if God decides to end it all, He's not going to spare you because you're rich. He's not going to spare you because you live in a $20 million mansion. Everybody's going to go. Every last one of us. So again, when people say things and you say, really, maybe we need to speak up a little bit more and look at the people who are around us and are saying things, and and what they're doing. And sometimes, I have three rescue dogs, and sometimes I look at them and I just say they got it right. you know you know Animals treat each other better than how humans treat each other. When animals go after each other, they go after, each other either for protection or for food or something. We just go after each other just for the hell of it. That's what humans do. We just go after each other for the hell of it. But I don't know. But I'm at the hour mark. I could go on, but I know people have things to do, and I appreciate all of you coming. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And um I do want to say, everyone, just speak your truth and keep it real. So I am Solid Blue Sister. This is my turn to talk, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye. See you tomorrow. Bye.